know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We got to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag and Underdog Fantasy. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Although the NFL season is done, there's still many games to be played between college basketball, NBA, NHL, and WNBA. There's always time to embrace your inner underdog. All you got to do is predict higher or lower on multiple different player statistics. If you've yet to download the Underdog app, do so now and get free cash. Click the link in the description or use promo code ChiefConcerns, one word, to claim your free pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So let's continue to keep the good vibes going into the spring season. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Monday Morning Tight End. I'm Marcus Dash here with legendary Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn. What's up, brother?
What is up, Marcus? How are you doing today, sir? How's it going?
I'm doing great, man. I am doing fantastic. I'm excited to be, getting back to talking about some Chiefs items. In the offseason, it's getting used to the new schedule, right? Because during the season, we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, doing all that in a bag of chips. But offseason, we limited 2 shows. So, from Wednesday to Monday, there's so many things that have happened, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight, including some offseason stuff, but also some quotes that have been going out in the ether over the last week or so. But yeah, I'm excited to get to talking Chiefs football, brother.
I got you. You know what? It feels like a long hiatus, and I'm just like, man, shouldn't we be doing something? And it was kind of like having a little time on your hands. It's very good. Had a chance to kind of sit back and just relax a little bit. Enjoy some family and do some different things. So, had an amazing Valentine's Day. How was your Valentine's Day, man? How was it?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, Laura and I, Laura's still dealing with the injury and whatnot. Didn't really want to go to a restaurant or anything, so we ordered in some Italian food, and then watched we binge watched the Flight Attendant. It's on Max. It's the girl from Big Bang Theory. She's the main girl on this show. Okay. It's like a funny comedy, also thriller kind of show.
Really?
We did that. Just had a nice little cozy weekend.
Okay.
How about you and Susan? What'd you guys do?
We had a good time, man. We went to a restaurant that we've been wanting to go to. So we went to go check it out. It's very, very, very good. Really good food. Reasonably priced also too. And then after that, we went to go watch the new Captain America movie, actually. And that was pretty good. That was actually a pretty good movie. So we had a good night, man. By the time at the end of the movie, it was all over. It was about 12 o'clock, man. We both done. We was like, man, we ready to hit the bed. But that movie was really exciting to go see. Anthony Mackie did a good job. So there was some good little cameo appearances of people in it. So I love the whole Marvel series, DC guy. If y'all don't know this, I'm going to give y'all a little bit about JD. I am an avid comic book guy. I love Marvel and DC. I'm more DC than I am Marvel, but I love those movies. And so for me, now at my age, it's like a kid in a candy store because my brothers got me into comic books and doing all those different things, man. And I've just enjoyed it so much, just seeing these things. And it's a little different because when you grow up with it and you start seeing different things, how things are, man, it's like, I don't know if that really is, the origin of it, but okay, we'll deal with it. Mike Brennan said, JD geeking out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, it's kind of crazy though, Mike. There was a lot of guys in the NFL that likes comics and stuff, kind of grew up. I think sometimes, man, Marcus, you almost like you had to adopt somewhat of being like a superhero, especially coming out here and playing football. You know what I mean? Like you almost made yourself into this superhero, like this monster out there on the field, having strength and all these different things that you wanted to do, which you're seeing people do in the comics, man.
It definitely overlaps. I mean, you guys are going against some really big dudes, really fast dudes, really strong dudes, very talented dudes out there. I mean, the closest thing to superheroes are professional athletes, specifically football players. So like you kind of have that kind of the mindset that some of these superheroes do have. So it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense as to professional wrestling. I know a lot of football players from back in the day to now loves professional wrestling. So very similar kind of crossovers there and parallels.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love, man. Wrestling back in the day, man, it's hard to find those guys now. Obviously, man, I used to the big Junkyard Dog, George the Animal Steel,
Big John Studd.
Big John Studd. Come on, man. Shoot, the
King Kong Bundy,
British Bulldogs. I mean, you name them, man. I all those jokers. I ran into Animal, okay, from the Road Warriors, on the elevator, and so I was coming up. This is when I was playing for Philly, and I'm just like, man, you Animal. He's like, yeah, man, So man, we had a real good conversation, man. He came to the room, man, and had a beer with me, and just chilled
awesome
time, man. It was cool. It was real cool just seeing him. And actually, I met, who came up there too for training camp, man, was The Rock. Yeah, Dwayne Johnson came up right before he became big. Like nobody really knew who he was. He was just coming up there to do a wrestling match, and so, yeah, man, he was, didn't even know who he was. I met him
in Philly or Kansas City.
In Philly. Mike Wolf was like, hey, man, there's a guy coming out here, man, that played ball, played defensive end. They came out to our training camp. He's like, man, he's supposed to be the next best thing. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So yeah, man, it's good times, man. Let me say what's up to everybody in the chat. See, I see everybody talking mid 80s and 90s. That's the time right there, baby. That was when good wrestling was good wrestling. Now there's, John Cena, all that, okay. But, you need somebody like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, right? Or the Iron Sheik, okay? Or Jimmy Fly Snooker coming off the top rope, Macho Man.
Tito Santana.
Yes, sir. Come on. The real guys back then. Around here, the Moondogs. I don't know if y'all they ever heard of the Moondogs. We were talking about them. They were more like a kind of a smaller circuit.
Okay.
But that's where we used to have, what's the name of Jerry the King Lawler.
Okay.
I'm talking. Jerry King Lawler used to take the little thing off his little sleeve. When he did that, it was all over. He started hitting me. Then he take a little thing, here he goes. So I think you kind of work yourself into being somewhat of a tough guy. You had to be. So what's up, Andrea? Good to see you out here. I'm the Brown. What's going down, my guy? It's going to be some good talks tonight. Chief 65 Point. Good to see you. Let me see the barbershop. Peace, family. Peace to you, my brother, Mike Brennan. I already said what's up to you, Mike. Good seeing you, Mike. Yeah, I'm over here geeking out on it, man. Some good stuff over here. Let me see. Lonnie Pyramid. What's up, Lonnie? What up, my guy? How you doing, man? I ain't seen you in a while. Good to see you out here. Akio. Greetings from Norway, guys. Continue with your high content. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it so much. Appreciate you coming out here and joining us, man. Some good stuff for us. Akio, you got some things you want to ask us? Ask anything, okay? We'll answer it, my brother. Good seeing you, man. So Hannah's checking in. So glad to have this podcast. You too, Hannah. Hey, we're going to be around here, Hannah. So, hey, don't go nowhere. We're going to be here. Don't go in there. Lonnie Pyramid, Bret Hart. Yes, sir. Come on. Bret Hart, the Hart brothers. I like, I told you I like the British Bulldogs too. Man, who was the ones, they used to come in the ring. They just would just beat you down. I'm talking just would pound you on the back. Oh my gosh. Can't think of But that's all they was to do, man. They was just come and they would just hit y'all the back, man, and just beat them down.
The Wild Samoans?
No. I don't know, man. I had to bring it up. But it was somewhere like that. Legion of Doom. That's who it was. Remember Legion of Doom? Oh, beat you down. As soon as the match started, ha, ha, ha. You know what I mean? So Rufus R. Jones, the Thump, Big Papa Thump, Big Papa Pump, Rufus R. Jones. Yeah, I remember Rufus. KC Colossus. This is my first time looking at Chiefs content since Super Bowl. Welcome. You came to the right place, my man. So good to see you. The Sheep Herders. Oh, Sheep Herders? Oh, I remember the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, no doubt. And Virgil? Oh, man. Yeah, the Sheep Herders? I don't remember the Sheep Herders. I don't know if it was.
Do you remember the Killer Bees?
I remember the Killer Bees. Do I remember?
They're like a weak tag team. Like they had like the black and yellow like undies, like to look like bumblebees.
Oh yeah.
They're like a team. They're like a duo that get dominated by like a really good like tag team back in the 80s.
Steiner Brothers. No doubt. The Steiner Brothers. That's it. Big Papa Pump, right?
Yeah.
One of them. So yeah, it's good stuff right there, man. Good stuff. What up? Sup? Linda Hunter finally got to check out a live episode. Good, Linda. Ask your questions. You got us here. We are waiting for you to ask us something. Waiting. So I remember Rufus R. Jones. Rufus R. Jones. Did Rufus have a different name? Legion of Doom. That's it. LOD. Legion of Doom is what we're talking about. Let's see, Mr. Brown. So some good stuff, man. Some good stuff. So Birdman, Mankind were there. Birdman, Mankind. Yeah. You know. So it was good time in wrestling. I love that stuff. See, I remember when around here, Randy Savage just got started, and his brother Leaping Lanny Popo, okay, who became the professor, I think it was, and remember he was doing the poetry, would come out there, and he had his the Graduate or something like that, man. It's kind of crazy.
How was speaking of the Captain America movie? How was Harrison Ford in that? How much Harrison Ford did we get to see in that movie?
He did a good job, man. Yeah, it's Harrison Ford, man. Harrison Ford is one of my favorite actors. I'd say, as far as someone who's just a good balance of acting, regardless of what you put him in, Harrison Ford is that guy. I've never really seen Harrison Ford in a bad movie. I really haven't. So if there is one, I haven't seen it. But Harrison Ford always does a great job, man. Really does. So he did a tremendous job. So it was funny. He was talking about this movie, and he was just like, "How did you get past like being the Red Hulk?" And he's like, "Look, man, the money was good enough to do it." So
yeah, I bet. Yeah, he's one of those like very selective actors. I mean, you don't really see him in much like anymore. He's a very like selective guy at this point. And that's why I was surprised to even see him in the Jeep commercial during the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, you don't really see Harrison Ford out and about. And he's one of those old school type of actors. They don't really do commercials because they still see commercials as like a beneath them kind of thing. And you see him in the Jeep commercial. And I'm sure he got paid handsomely for that Jeep commercial as well.
Oh yeah. Witchy Hall said Lord Littlebrook lived up here in St. Joseph and trained all the midget wrestlers. I don't remember Lord Littlebrook. I don't remember him. But yeah, Hippie Carpiat is here. Ray 028 is in. What's going down? Witchy Hall. Good seeing, like always, Greg Rose is in here. That whole I wrestled and was a coach, so I couldn't watch it. I hear you. I got you. When you do it the real thing, it's always like, you don't want to see that, right? So money sounds a part of my brain. Yeah. Good stuff. Regarding Henry, I don't know if I've seen that one or not, Mike. I had to check that one out. Okay. I'm going to pull that up. See what you're talking about. So, got to save his energy for 1923. Yes, sir. Man, they've been taking forever on that. So it's part of the Yellowstone. Have you been watching Yellowstone? Have you?
I couldn't get through. I watched the first like 5 episodes of Yellowstone. I couldn't get through Yellowstone.
Did you? Yeah. I
Is
tell you what.
1923 the prequel?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. Mm-hmm. It is. They had the one with oh shoot, Tim McGraw and his wife. Can't think of her name. Beautiful. He did a great job too. So that series has been incredible with the whole Yellowstone thing. But he did a great job in 1923. So I've been waiting for this thing to come out. What's going on with that? Faith. That's it. Tim McGraw, Tim and Faith. How did I forget Faith? I forget her, you know? So, Faith Hill. So good stuff right there, man. Good stuff. I know we just talked about some other things besides Chief. You know, we already 15 minutes in and we talking about all the other stuff out here. Love it. This is why I love my people out here. You know, y'all know what we talking about, man. You love it. So
you get a little of everything on this show. A little bit
yes,
of everything.
Yes, you do.
So yeah, guys, Monday shows, obviously Wednesdays are normal. Chief Concern show Monday in the off season. It's pretty much, you know, especially it'd be preview to free agency. We kind of go over all position groups, who's going to be potentially leaving, what the projections are for their contract, and then the guys we currently have in the room in different position groups. Tonight, we're going by kind of JD's list there. JD's number one off-season thing is defensive line, and we're going to get into defensive tackles and defensive ends tonight to talk about. So if you guys have any questions regarding our D-line, the shoot away, we'll be talking about all that. And then, of course, there was some stuff that came out end of last week, about some quotes regarding our coaching staff that we will get into before we get into the defensive line stuff. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff going on in this episode tonight, guys. So definitely ask questions. And let's see where you go after that.
Yes, sir. All right. Don Peterson, my brother, good to see you as well. Didn't want to miss you out here. Say what's up to you, man. Hope all's well.
All right, JD, so you want to get into the quotes before we get to the D-line?
Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. All right.
This was something that triggered a lot of people last week. A lot of people were like really disgusted with what they saw from some of the quotes out there. I wouldn't say I was disgusted with some of the quotes.
Mm-hmm.
I was more kind of blown away that some of these things are even being said. Not disgusted, but yeah, we'll tackle the first one here. So the first quote that came out last week. So this is the Andy Heck one, and this is the one that a lot of people were intrigued by, because a lot of people were pointing blame at Andy Heck for the reason why we went with the same offensive line in the second half of that game. But here's the quote. So Kansas City's offensive line had held together until the most important game when it faced the opponent whose roster is built around offensive and defensive line play. Tooney, one of the best guards in football, had filled in nobly at left tackle since week 15, playing the role because Kansas City's younger tackles needed more time to develop. When Reese suggested moving the all-pro left guard over to left tackle, offensive line coach Andy Heck was not sold on the idea. They'd be sacrificing on the interior and asking Tooney to do a very different job out in space battling the best edge rushers. Reed's solution was another example of the Chiefs' in-season problem solving, and it was enough to get them to the Super Bowl, but the Eagles' defensive line made it clear that this was not a permanent solution, and the entire offensive line struggled to protect Mahomes. So JD, a lot of people, even on this show last week, I think Amda was talking about Andy Heck potentially being cut loose, and there's a lot of people online just dogging Andy Heck's kind of ability to really not put together a good game plan against the Eagles' defensive line. But hearing this, what do you have to say about this? The fact that Andy Heck was, like we said, he noticed that we were sacrificing the interior by putting him out there. What do you make of Andy Heck's quote here on this?
So man, I tell you what, it's really glaring in the sense that for a guy, and we got to understand that Andy Heck is, to me, is one of the top O-line coaches in the NFL. He's developed some guys that's been here. He has done that. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith. He's helped Jawan Taylor. He helped Orlando Brown when he was here. Guys get better. Wiley. I mean, you name it. Andy Heck has done a good job. He's done a heck of a job, right? Pun intended for sure. But this quote right here, I think, kind of speaks to volumes to me. It really does. And the reason it does is because I think he's seen the problems He knows what he's dealing with. And so for him to kind of sit back as a coach, O-line coach, he knows what his concern is. He knows what these guys can and cannot do because he's with them every single day. He's the one that's with them during practice planning, practice drills, meetings, film, you name it. Andy Heck is their guy. That's their coach. That's the O-line coach. And so when he wasn't sold on the idea, he knew if we decide to make this move, moving Joe Thuney out, then we are compromising somewhat of our inside with Mike Caliendo. Even though he knew Mike Caliendo's a good, he's a good offensive lineman, he realized that, to the elite level on things, it's going to be some problems, especially going into like the playoffs. And I think we've seen it. We've seen it, Marcus. I wanted to kind of show a little bit where there was a couple of guys on a podcast that said kind of the same thing. And I think it was this one called Chief Concerns. And we were a little bit reticent of somewhat of the move. And it really had to do with this could not be the permanent solution to this issue. Because when it ended up happening, Joe Thuney went out, started blocking, and I'll tell you where this kind of started with us was the Cleveland game. When he started blocking Myles Garrett, he did a great job against Myles Garrett. But I said, you know what? What Myles Garrett has done is he's actually given other teams kind of the blueprint on how you attack Joe Thuney. That's what he's done. PFF came in and they gave a grading to Mike Caliendo. Mike did a great job that game. He did a good job. But had him rated with the second best against the pass rush and third, I think, on the run that week. And, PFF throws their numbers out and they have their measurements, how they look at it. I know what my eyes see. I know what Andy, and this tells me what Andy X eyes see also. So PFF, sometimes I think we listen to these things and we look at some of these ratings and we kind of take that as gospel in a sense. We do. And I think it's at least for me, a guy that's has played and has coached, I see things that maybe PFF guys may not, see, or maybe they do see it. I'm sure they have people in the house that know things. I do. So they have their own measurement of how they look at guys, right? So even though they had Mike Calley and those guys for that game, that was also where we got pressured the most since 2022. The most pressures, the most quarterback hits on Patrick Mahomes since that time. Matter of fact, Patrick Mahomes ended up getting hurt. He went and sat down. Remember we talked about it. He's like, Pat didn't want to come back in the game because he was getting tattooed. Well, part of the reason was we decided to run the football 11 times in the second half. Even though we had them beat by 2 touchdowns, we decided to throw the ball all around the field. We had like 27 carries that game, but 11 of them came in the second half, which is crazy. We spoke about that. We spoke about it. But this right here kind of, it really exposes a little bit as far as like some of the, the decisions that's being made, okay? Now, I'm not saying that Andy didn't trust the guys. Andy Heck, I will, right? I know Andy Reid's he knows these guys. He's an offensive lineman. He knows these guys. And he trusts them. And he should. But I just didn't believe it should have been a permanent solution. And I think part of that, what you get is this false sense of security sometimes because it's like, oh, man, this is kind of working. Everything looks all right. Everything looks fine. We should go ahead and continue this over. And I'm just like, yeah, man, week in, week out. I'm like, I get it. Everybody keeps saying, oh, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm like, yeah, it's a little beat up. It ain't fixed. This is a Band-Aid on a flesh wound is what this is. So that's not a long-term solution. So this is glaring to me as far as like Andy Heck saying this, man, because he knows his guys. He knows it. Now, what does that mean, right? Going forward, Marcus, okay? This is why we discuss these things. As far as why people was upset what I had on my draft board, I didn't see any O-linemen on here, right? Well, I think we have guys in-house. One of the guys I talked about was DJ Humphries. How was he? How was he at toward the end of the year? Was there a reason why he didn't come back out? Now, I wish somebody had asked Andy Heck that reason. We came to DJ Humphrey. He was like, "Hey, man, I didn't feel right." But yet you were out there ready to play. You just got hurt. You was coming in. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions there, man. But this is really glaring to me how this works, or how the decision was being made.
And I've seen a lot of people say, and this is obviously speculation, right? Because we don't know this, but a lot of people say it's clear to them that they kept tuning in there because that was kind of Patrick felt the most comfortable with him at that left tackle spot. But my thing is, okay, fine, keep tuning out there. We talked about it last week. Our guy Kingsley was warming up during that game to go into left guard, but they decided to keep Caliendo in there. And that was kind of like, that's where the issue lies. But you kind of mentioned some good stuff about Heck. People want to, they want to, there has to be a reason or a person behind this, right? Oh, we lost. Someone's got to pay the piper for this. Andy Heck, get him out of here. Well, let's be honest and let's look at Andy Heck and let's look at what he's done, his body of work. Tooney gets hurt in the Super Bowl playoff run last year. Nick Allegretti, who like the Caliendo this year, comes in and fills in awesome. And what happens to him? He gets a big contract, goes out to Washington, and made a pretty solid team this year. One of the best offenses in the league this year. Yeah. Andrew Wiley, a couple years before that, right tackle. I mean, this guy, no one thought he was going to be a right tackle. Comes in, fills in perfectly. Gets a nice solid deal from Washington as well. Goes over there. And look, Wiley and Allegretti are both the two starters for a really good offense this year. One of the highest scoring teams in the league this year. Trey Smith, probably going to, they say, I saw read a report over there, he's going to reset the market this year. And I think that probably keeps us out of keeping it back. But he was a 6th round pick. Not saying Trey Smith didn't already have the talent. There were some medical red flags with him. But day one, Andy Heck sees the talent he has. He works with him right away, and Trey Smith becomes our starting guard right off the bat. So and then also, this is kind of, I'm going to go back here a little bit. Andy Heck had Rodney Hudson, who ended up getting a second contract with another team, being him the highest paid center. Mitch Morse, center, plays with Kansas City, then becomes the next highest paid center in the NFL. And then we get Creed Humphrey. And I'm not saying this is all Andy Heck's success, but to say of them amongst the 3 highest paid centers over the last 10 years in the league have been Chief players who have played with Andy Heck. It's got to say something a little bit about Andy Heck. Sure, a lot say about these players, how good they are, but I'm sure those players, if you ask them what Andy Heck meant to their careers and how they got the starting gigs and the contracts they got, I'm sure a lot of these guys would pay Andy Heck some respect on where they've gotten because of him in the league. And I think a lot of people are just not really thinking about the full picture of what Andy Heck has done for our offensive line. And you know what? And a lot of these guys are 6th, 7th round picks or undrafted guys. And Andy Heck's, I think, he's done pretty well with some of the guys he's gotten.
No question about it. And that's why I had to push back against some of the people talking about, well, Andy Heck's not doing his job developing, Wanye Morris and King Suma, right? And I was just like, hold on, man. Look, a coach is there to manage and make a guy better, help him get, up to speed with things. But also too, he can't get a guy to play above where he's at if he just don't have that ability. You can't. And sometimes it's just going to take time. And I'm not saying, I'm sure Andy Heck had been doing his job. He had been working with King Sumi. He had been working with Wanye Morris. We've seen it. We've seen him working with him. And so we was able to get something out of Wanye Morris. We was able to see that. He was able to get something out of Wanye Morris. Keem Suma was going to come in and come play. Some of it was just confidence. But sometimes some of these guys do take time. A coach can only work what he can work with. Okay. He has a landscape to develop guys to their capability. Some guys have ceilings, okay? And it may have to take a year for King Suma to get to where he needed to get to where he's going against NFL defenses for the entire year, just to be comfortable. But Andy Heck has been doing a great job here. He has. So I just wanted to push back against that because I see people just calling for his neck, okay? So I do want to address some of the things out here, though, that people are saying. All right. And I kind of agree and disagree here a little bit. So Pono Kawhi, appreciate you, Pono. Good seeing you out here. He said Humphrey signing was horrible. He never was physically capable. Broken glass, collecting a paycheck. I disagree with that. And as somebody has said over here that G-Pick said, I didn't see any better solution. Chiefs had to work with what they had. So we were kind of caught with a rock in the hard place, right? We came in to training camp having a rookie and a guy that was in his second year at our starting left tackle. And the reality is we had a chance to address this the entire offseason, and we didn't. We did not. Because we felt like we was going to go, they knew they were going to probably get a tackle in the draft, and they bet on it and banked on it. And it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And so he had some issues and some problems. Wanya Morris came in. He did a pretty decent job. Then all of a sudden he got hurt. He had been hurt pretty much off and on during training camp. That's kind of set him back as well. So then also we had to go get a DJ Humphries, the guy who was coming off an ACL injury. And so we had to work with what we had to work with. Sometimes other guys, tackles, don't want to work with a team-friendly deal. We knew Donovan Smith was here last year. He would have did a damn decent job coming here. If we were sitting over here talking about, shoot, we would have loved to have Orlando Brown that last game. You know, everybody ran him out of town. We couldn't pay him the money he was asking. Wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth it doing that. So, but we found ourselves in this situation where now all of a sudden we're doing patchwork and we're doing musical chairs, moving guys around. But my question is, and this is why I want to get a definitive answer, and I wish somebody had asked Andy Heck, was DJ Humphrey not available and good enough to start during the playoffs? Did y'all just decide to go ahead and roll the dice on this and say, hey, let's go ahead and just stick with what we stuck with? That was a question. So that's what I wanted. That's what I need to get answered. I want the answer to that. Okay, that's my question. Okay, if you felt like this was the better, line to put in, and decision to be made, fine. I guess you roll with it, right? But I can see here in this statement right here, there's some reticence there. But Andy Heck, did he have this always, all the way through? Or at some point, did he just buy in and say, okay, we'll just go ahead and keep rolling with it? Or was it something that's back of his mind, like it wasn't in the back of my mind, like, are we going to be able to sustain this? See, because when we sit there and we watch them, I said Garrett showed how he was pushing the pocket, pushing Joe Tooney back on Patrick Mahomes. That was the blueprint of how you attack us. We just started seeing teams doing that. And not to mention the same thing we go to, somebody else said in here, we ran it 7 times in a game for our running backs. That's crazy. We addressed that too. So it's not just having those guys there. Well, let's help a Mike Caliendo out. Let's help a Joe Tooney out. How you do that? Run the daggone football. And we chose not to do that, Marcus. Even though we had Pacheco and we had Kareem Hunt, we just didn't. And they dared us to run it. They dared us to run the daggone football, and we did not. So I think, it's a myriad of things, man, that this was to our detriment, that didn't help us out, especially on the offensive line that game.
Yeah,
but
it's easy to just have one person to blame for that, and that's what Andy Heck has been facing for the last week and a day, last 8 days. Andy Heck's been coming out of the gun. And I did see a comment here. I think it was Amda. He asked, I can respect what you guys said, but in the game for history, no O-line changes were made. Who owns that? Is that head coach or O-line coach? That's not going to be Andy Heck's call, right, JD?
I think, man, Andy Reid trusts Andy Heck. And I'm sure Andy Heck gave all of his expertise, all of his input to make a decision. So they rolled with it. Andy was fine to do that. So for them, they thought the guys were going to be able to get it done. So who do you put it on? Well, part of it goes to everybody. Everybody gets to blame on this Amda Brown. It's the coaches, Andy, both Andys, and the O-line. Because you have a job to do. And that's it. You get paid money to do your job. That's how it works in the NFL. This is a performance-based business, Marcus. That's what it is. Okay? And it's not for the faint of heart. We put you in, for big boy times. You got to show up like a big boy. That's how it works. But you also got to help those guys out. Coordinators, game plans. You got to help those guys out. If you see those guys ears peeled back, teeing off on us, change it up.
So everyone wants to go back to coaching, but that brings up another good question here. He asked this on Twitter last week. But if run plays aren't being called in, can Mahomes or should Mahomes audible to run plays if it's becoming a trend where it's like, man, it's first half, we're coming to a close. We only got 3 carries for our running backs, and we're about to end that to go to the go to halftime. Should that be on him to audible out of plays to call run plays if they're not coming in?
No, look, he's got to trust the staff around him, what they see. Obviously, he thinks what they're calling is going to work. Plus, also too, I'm the Brown. If you got 7 in the box, you're not calling it a run because they got numbers. And so usually when you see a light box or maybe 6, then he has the ability to maybe check it over. Especially when it comes to RPOs and whatnot. Pat couldn't do that. But I don't think Pat is sitting over saying like, okay, let's check to a run on this one particularly, especially if it's just a pass play. And he's just like, no, check. We're going to go to run. Pat could have that ability to do it. I'm not sure, he hasn't at times, especially if he sees it. But RPO, he definitely has that ability to check to that. That's why RPOs are so easy to kind of do because you can see what's in the box, how you make the count, who you're blocking, much easier thing. But other than that, man, shoot, you start having him call run plays on everything, man. That's just putting too much on him that he really doesn't need to do. That's what you pay the coaches. Everybody get paid. Everybody get paid to do a job. Part of theirs is planning and scouting and make sure the game plan is put together that when you see this, they're supposed to do that. They're supposed to do that.
King Mo said, would you all give King Suma a shot at right guard? We actually talked about this on our show last week just because, they were thinking about putting him at left guard. But, yeah, I mean, and also, too, you got to give credit. Andy Heck's probably part of the reason why King Suma is now a guard because he probably sees like, hey, like, not cutting bait or ending the experiment with King Suma, but a lot of people said that he could have been better off at guard coming out. That was kind of why he lasted so long in the draft. Everybody else is drafting left tackles. King Suma lasts to where he lasts because there's kind of it wasn't a consensus, oh, he's going to be the guy at left tackle. A lot of people thought he should continue to play right tackle or even move to guard. Do you think that if we do move off from Trey Smith, do you think he's got kind of first dibs at taking over the right guard spot?
It could be him. It could be Wanya Morris. I think either one of those guys could play that position. It'd be easier for those guys to actually be able to do it. Strength is the question. Are they strong enough for it? And why I'm saying this, on Wednesday, I'm actually asked a guy to come on our show. It's going to be a hell of a treat. Y'all going to love it. Mike Boyle. If y'all know who Mike Boyle is, okay? Mike Boyle is the guy that is – probably one of the most premier developmental guys as far as like sports science and whatnot in America, and he has been for a long time. So we're going to talk a little bit about the draft and getting those things ready from him. When I'm telling you, high caliber guy. Mike Boyle's at. Just look at Mike Boyle up. But incredible guy that's going to come on here. I actually worked out with him when I was going into the draft. So he's going to grace his presence, man, on our show. So we got some good things to talk about. But he's a legend. He's a legend as far as with that. When people go and talk about like workouts and all those different things, getting guys ready, Mike Boyle's the guy that you go to learn about it all. So. But anyway, kind of going from that, yeah, if these guys get strong enough to play that position, like I said, it's easier when you could get your hands on a guy immediately to stop their charge. And those guys can do that. That's why I had a little bit. This was part of my criticism with Trey somewhat. Okay, I love Trey Smith. Trey Smith is a very powerful, hard-nosed, nasty guard. How he plays, how he blocks. I love Trey. I think sometimes when in pass protection, he would just give a little bit up as far as ground. And so the depth of the pocket, there was times I used to see him doing that. When he was a few years, he's gotten better at it. But yeah, if Trey asking for too much money or whatever happens, I mean, it's going to be hard to sign Trey. We can make him a priority, especially if you try to do offensive line. DJ Humphries is another guy for me that we can do. But we addressed, I think, that guard area, Marcus, in the draft. Norzad is another one. Norzad could go play that position. He's a center, but he could definitely go play right or left guard.
Yep.
You just move one spot over. Like I said, it's not like being out on the island like tackles. So much easier for them. They can handle that. The guys inside, which are the monsters, the big boys, they'll be fine.
I mean, look, they're expending a lot of draft capital to the offensive line. They have, people want to dog us. Again, we're picking 30, 31, 32 over the last every draft. So, I mean, you're not getting the premier blue chippers. It's not happening, guys. I mean, so it's like I've seen some people complaining about things. We're drafting, King Suma, second round. Wani was a third round pick. Creed Humphrey was a second round pick. I mean, we are drafting guys in Norzad who went late in this draft. They said he could have gone even 2 rounds higher than where we got him.
Yeah.
We're expending a lot of assets for offensive line. Now that's not on Andy Heck to make sure that King Suma is the premier blindside guy. Cause again, that wasn't, he played 52% of the time, right tackle, 48% of the time, left tackle. Guy, he wasn't jumping off the draft boards as this guy's been left tackle. Yeah. Some people in the Chiefs Kingdom who were the content creators were like, oh man, he's the left tackle of our future. It's like, whoa, hold off here a little bit.
Hey man, listen, it takes time to develop guys, and I know Pono was talking about it. Like he said, usually guys don't develop not from the first year, but yeah, we can use Patrick Mahomes as that. We gave him a year to develop, and it was necessary. So sometimes you got to give some guys some space to develop, to get used to the whole speed of the game, the strength of the game, all those different things, maybe the complexities of it as well. So that's why you give them a 4-year contract or 3 years and 4th, and so they can develop. And it may just be later on down the road, Marcus. Who's to say Kiyosuma might come out and be a monster? He might shoot. He might be the left tackle. We don't know. We don't know. We just know when we put him in, he wasn't the left tackle right now.
Them putting him at guard already, does that tell you that they may be done with the left tackle or just a tackle project with him, or as a more just for the 2024 Chiefs team, it was better for him to be a guard this year?
I think it was better for the 2024 for him to be guard. Give you. I hate to say easier assignment because it's not easy. I don't care. It's the NFL. Nothing's easy. But something that he could maintain. Okay. Something that, like I said, he could actually put his hands on guys and he's not in space. Easier for him to work than that. He's got good feet. He's got all those different things like that. He's got a good punch to him. Very strong. But out in space is you're a whole different animal out there, man. Whole different animal. And like I said, we went back to everybody was talking about Willie Roaf and all that. Hold on. Same thing everybody tried to talk about Wiley being Travis Kelce. I'm like, hey, man, don't do that to him.
I'm still seeing. I saw a tweet today saying that exact thing about Wiley.
Hey, come on, man. We just need for him to be Wiley right now. That's it. So we just want these guys to play well, okay? If he develops into that, beautiful, perfect. But we're not going to put that man on that man's shoulders to do that, man. That's just unfair to him. It is. It's unfair to him. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some comments about Norzad. I'm actually talking to Norzad to get him on the show this offseason. So we're going to get Hunter Norzad potentially, can compete for the guard spot if Trey Smith goes. So we'll get him on to discuss all things Chiefs offensive line and Andy Heck too. And hopefully you guys can hear straight up from a player who's played under Andy Heck for at least a season. He can tell you a little bit about Andy Heck and, that he's not just some just some guy that some people think he is, which you would think a guy who's been in the coaching as long as he has would get a little bit more respect than he's gotten, JD. I don't get it.
Listen, when you have a game of this magnitude and it all falls apart, everybody's going to get the blame. And it's immediately like, let's go for your head, fire you from the job. Well, what about the years that Andy Heck has been doing that we've been winning Super Bowls and been going?
Yeah.
Nobody talked about the resume then. Also, we get beaten in the head. Oh my God, get rid of Andy Heck. We need to move on. What?
Yeah. Well, the one I hear is it's 2 Super Bowls we've been beaten down because of offensive line. That belongs to Andy Heck. It's like, okay, that last Super Bowl, contextually, we were playing with a bunch of 2s and 3s. You expected those guys to come out against the vicious pass rush of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and play like stars all of a sudden? I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Crazy.
Linda Hunter said number 87 is dissing and strong right now. This show is, boy. They've been on his head. And that's what it is. Like when you see loss, the team, don't succeed where you think they should. There's gonna be a lot of criticism that comes from a lot of different voices. Okay. Some inside your own walls. Some that supposedly Chiefs, fans and shows and stuff. Like we'll do it. We'll talk about a guy on certain things. We try to be realistically based on these things as well. Like we'll give you high praise, but we will critique you too, and that's important to do. We can deal in reality, but sometimes I see jokers just want to just dump on guys' heads, and I'm sitting there thinking like, oh man, don't do that. Like you being unfair. And it's just, oh man, the shame and all this, they're the worst, and why they're da. I'm like, I can't even listen to something like that.
Yeah.
I can't.
The worst is like, forget national media. I know, I get more with the stuff like that, the Kelsey dogging and like Andy Heck and Matt Nagy getting out of here, like those kind of comments. It's like, I think it's way worse when it's our own Chiefs content creators, because it's like, you guys have been covering the team at least for a year or two, or however long the dynasty's been going on. I don't expect that from the Chief content creators. The national media guys who maybe watch our games, they've watched maybe 6 games all year, and maybe the games are nationally televised. But like, I expect that from them because it's a hot take stuff. But like people who follow and cover the Chiefs, like other YouTubers and stuff, it's like I expect a little bit more from those types of people. But I'm hearing that even from them, like, oh, Kelsey needs to be cut or retire. He's not going to take a pay cut. And it's like, well, you don't know if he's not going to take a pay cut. I mean, he might. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. The guy wants to win if he does want to end his career in Kansas City. But like, he needs to retire. It's like, what? What do you mean he needs to retire? What are you talking about?
It's crazy. When I seen the one put out on our tweet, I was like, man, you're not a serious person. You're not a serious man then. He was speaking this way. He was still 5th in yards and catches and in all categories. Still 5th. And he missed 1 game. And this is him, the first 3 games, not really catching footballs. So go off if you will. Go off if you must. But that come on, man.
Yeah.
We ain't talking serious about this. But
Cordell Ingram says it here. A couple of our own content creators went straight click. But yeah, I've seen it. I'm not going to call out anybody by name, but like, it's just I expect more from the people who do follow the team like us, because I know some of these content creators, they all follow the team. They watch the same things we're watching, but like, do you actually think they're just trying to get more clicks and views? Because like, there's certain takes that I've seen over the last few days. And I'm like, wait, this is a Chiefs fan saying this. And it's like, what?
Yeah. No, I get it, man. We had one dude, man, to sit there and said that he thought the game was over after the second series that we had
of the game.
Yeah, I
mean, I thought it was over after our first.
I was talking about you. I was just messing with you.
No, but that was in the second half. That was after the 5 plays of our first drive in the second half. That's why I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you meant like the first half. No,
I was wondering why you said that, Jim. I was like, well, I mean, at that point, the game.
Yeah, I was like, what? I read it like the first half, but I'm just messing with you. I'm just, look, we know where we are with this, man. We know, okay, because we speak about this thing all the time. But no, I'm talking about the other people for sure, Marcus, as well, man. Like one thing that we do, and what I do appreciate it is Because when we get here, we start discussing and start talking about it, right? We can, like, okay, yeah, like this makes a whole lot of sense. Because I don't want to just be led by emotions, right? And this first thing you do is rip everything up and like, man, get rid of him, man. You need to cut him and all it. Yo, hey man, we're talking about people's lives here. But also too, yeah, guys need to play better. No question. Like we can talk real. We can talk real, and that's why I love you for it, because I know you talk real, man. I know you watch ball, man. We get into it. But yeah, Greg Rose says some is just opinion, some just great drama. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it is like clickbait, because you get viewerships and all those different things, and sometimes people buy into it. They want bad things to happen. They want to hear all the negative stuff on it, right? Yeah, you feel the same way I feel. Like, daggone, you ain't gonna have no perspective, a balance, objective look at things. But it's like, shoot, we want to get rid of everybody.
You see the thumbnails on these like YouTube videos. It's like Kelsey needs to retire, and it's like a shock face, like, and it's like, it's like what?
Well, you don't take this out. Like, what do you think? It's like, no, man, don't fall for it. Don't fall for the trick. Like, it's crazy. But
so the other quote that made the rounds last week that we're going to get into a little bit here. This is the one where I was like kind of blown away by a little bit. What's up, Chad?
Word.
So here's the quote here. So when a coach realizes his quarterback could be the greatest of all time, it should be a feeling of pure joy, right? Not in the case of the Kansas City Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes. Quote, it makes it so much more stressful, end quote, Chiefs passing game coordinator Joe Blameyer told ESPN on Wednesday, a Super Bowl week. Quote, you feel the burden as a coach and as you are putting a game plan together to not waste his abilities, to not go through a season where you don't give him the opportunity, to not screw it up as the coaching staff. So rather than feeling like this just unbridled excitement that we could do anything, it's actually more like a terror. Like we cannot be the reason that we screw this guy up or this team up. I immediately read that and I'm like, I know one guy who wouldn't ever be scared or ever even admit it. And I don't know much about Blameyer's past, but I don't think Blameyer played in the NFL. And there's one thing I do know when I even talk to you or any of the other guests we've had on, JD, and other football players, where I say, are you scared a little bit of this part of the team we're about to play? And like, I'm not scared of anything. Like, sure, do they have some matches where they are a little better in some certain aspects? Sure, but I'm not scared. But when I hear a player or a coach tell a journalist that he is terrorized or scared of making a bad game plan for his quarterback, it's like Eric Bieniemy would never even say anything like that. I know Eric Bieniemy was our passing game coordinator, but he was our offensive coordinator. But like to hear a coach who's dealing with our passing game as much as we throw the ball, the guy's scared to drop a game plan for his quarterback. What's going on here? Maybe I'm just taking that out of context, but that's pretty. Reading it right there, as I just read as a layman, that's pretty pathetic. I'm not going to lie. To hear that, especially to him to admit that to a journalist. Okay, what are you talking about here?
Yeah, I think it's taken out of context. I'm gonna defend him on this one right here. First, I'm gonna say what's up to D Block 9 TV in the house and Iceman in here. Good to see y'all too, coming in the chat, talking about this. But I will say for me, the context that he's speaking in is he's not necessarily afraid of calling the plays. I think he's more afraid of just getting it wrong. I think he wants to give Patrick all ammunition, the things he wants to do as much as possible. So for passing game coordinators, they want to make it perfect. They want to give him every shot. Like, man, everything's available to you, Pat. All right, we're going to make sure we don't want to miss out on anything that you can do. We know you can make the sidearm throw. We know you can run and throw left and go right. We understand that, but we also want to give you practical things that you can do with your arm, right? Like the deep ball to Worthy, okay, that was 70 yards in the air. Like, those are the things we need to call. And so what we've seen in the game, looking at the all 22, that there was guys open. There was like deep balls that they was calling. They wanted to call that. And so for him, he's like, look, I want to make sure, okay, that we're not going to be the ones that screw this up for Pat or something that we left out. And I think that's really where the perspective is, So the context of what he's saying is not that we're afraid to call it. We're afraid of not calling something that within his realm and his wheelhouse he can do, right? If he got a back shoulder throw that he can make 20 yards down the field, hey, Pat, you got that in your arsenal. You have carte blanche and green light to do those things. And so that's why it's important, man, when we sit there and say that. I think words afraid is a little bit, you know what I mean, like misleading from here, because when you first hear afraid, like, what are you scared? What are you scared? Say, no, listen, we're going for the 3P. We want to make this perfect for Pat. That's what we want to be able to do. We want to drop a great game plan so he can be successful. Well, part of the problem is I don't think they thought they were going to be under the pressure like they were. They didn't. They just didn't. And sometimes you hear, oh, man, Pat's holding it too long. Well, shoot, that's the play. The play call is, man, he's going to be open. He's waiting for his guys to get open in the middle of the field. He's waiting on his guys, to run the deep over and throw the deep post on guys. That's what he's waiting for. Or the deep, middle read and basic. He's waiting for those things. So I think that's more in the context of it. Obviously, I agree with you. Bieniemy probably would have never said anything like that. Bieniemy is like, we're going to hit him in the throat. We're going to try to hit him in the throat every chance we get. I know Bieniemy. That's exactly how he's going to feel.
He's going to hit Pat in the throat if Pat tries to make him feel like he's scared about a game plan.
Yeah. I think they just were saying, like, man, we just don't want to screw this thing up for Pat. We just don't want to screw it up for him. So we want to make sure we calling him everything. When we have we have our play sheet, we call on offense. Everything we call, we're going to make sure we're going to call it for Pat, for everything within his talents, what he can do, right? We're going to take advantage of that more so than leave it on the table. Like, dang, God, how come we didn't call more deep balls for Pat? So I think that's what it was, just the context. And I think people, when people said afraid, say, hey, man, you might want to use a different word, Joe, than that, right? It's like you can't be afraid of anything, when you go out there, because you're trying to make history, right? And it's a huge moment. Huge moments for the coaches and the players. It's a huge moment, Marcus. This is like, historical right here. And it just didn't get to happen. So,
yeah. But using the word terror is just like a very Mike Brand says that quote makes all the talking heads say bringing Gruden. And I was one of those talking heads, Mike. I don't know, you're calling me out, buddy. I didn't say I said bringing Gruden as like a consultant. Remember we had Brad Childress as a consultant? Let's bring Gruden in as a consultant. I mean, JD, when you were with the Chiefs or Eagles, did you guys have offensive consultants, or is that more of a new era thing?
It's.
I'm just curious how much say do consultants have when they were brought in?
When I came into the coaches meeting and I would see them all, because it was always funny when I come in, the room be dark, they turn lights, hey JD, what's going on? And they all be sitting around this round table, almost like the war room, okay? And they watching film and they putting everything up on the board on things that they want to do, how they want to attack. And I would sit there sometimes and listen to some of the things how they would go through it. But yeah, you have a consultant come in and see what he thinks, man. You get on the board. Hey, what a guy can do. What do you think? Gruden would definitely break some of the film and stuff down. I wouldn't want him as an offensive coordinator. Heck no. Hells no. I'm going to just tell you that right now. No, sir. No, sir. But as consulting, and I guarantee they're consulting him anyway. I guarantee Andy and Gruden have talked. Like he came to training camp. They've been together. They've been Mike Holmgren and the Bill Walsh tree and all those guys. This is just an innovation of the West Coast offense. And so when you have certain weapons, you want to get the most that you possibly can out of a guy, and you speak and you talk to one another. So you can consult with guys all the time. Do you bring him in on staff to do that? I don't know. Possibly, maybe, but I don't think that for them having them as a long term or at least for that year, I don't think it's practical for them. They want guys that like kind of in their system. Dougie P would be perfect to come back. I like that when you said Dougie P. We know we can't get Bieniemy because he's up in Chicago now, but Dougie P coming here, beautiful. I would love to have him here with Pat. 1,000%. 1,000%.
And Dougie P would be, because a lot of people want a new voice for Pat. And the beauty about Dougie P is he's not new to the Chiefs, not new to Andy, but he would be new to Pat because he was not there when Pat was sitting in the wings with Alex Smith. That he left. He's going to take the Eagles job right before we draft Pat. So it would be a new voice for Pat, and also a guy who played in the NFL. who's been around, Super Bowl champion as a head coach. So like he knows what he's talking about. So I would love the Dougie P. I think that's more of a that's more realistic than bringing Gruden. I think Gruden's just a fun thing to throw around there right now. But and I think Dougie P would actually have more of a legitimate role. Only reason why I say Gruden as offensive consultant is because that's low pressure as far as being around the team where you can kind of they can go to him for certain things, right? Less pressure, more hands off from the team, right? Whereas Dougie P, I think would be more in the thick of things if we brought him in.
Absolutely,
I think that would be ideal.
I was going to send that whole Danny DeVito meme where he's like, oh shoot, yeah. Gruden would bring good energy. I don't know about that. He'll bring some energy, all right. When he gets incensed, he gets incensed. I don't think you necessarily need that though. So, yeah, I like Gruden. I love his energy. I love his fire, everything he brings to it. He'll hold all the guys accountable. He'll make sure the guys understand what they need to do. That's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's just certain coaches for certain guys. I think Dougie P would be, yeah. I was trying to say something positive. Yeah, I got you. I think, but Dougie P, I think it fits more into that culture of things. And it'd be hard for Gruden to, man, could he take a back seat to some of those things? That's another question.
And I love this whole Gruden thing with you, especially because like people see Gruden as the media figure, the guy who has a YouTube channel, and he's a fun-loving guy, Spider Y2 Banana. But then you actually were in the war rooms with him, so you know how that coach is.
Oh yeah, I know Gruden. I know him. I know his temperament, and I know that Joker boy. He be funny, man, but I'm talking about he'll cut a sucker quick about how you do on defense. He'll cut a defensive player down. I seen it. Why is this guy even here? Why is he even in the league? This is how we need attack. I used to love it because he's funny. He is, but and he's very energetic, but he demands a lot, which is good. That's good. I say this, put it this way. And maybe, I don't know, I was going to say maybe he's different. No, he's not. We see how he just, like Carr. I think he did Derek Carr, because it was just a different fit for Carr. He kind of wanted Carr to be kind of the bad guy in a sense, in a way. And he wanted him to kind of, adopt that. And Carr's just not that guy. He just, you know what I mean? He isn't.
There was definitely some kind of affinity there, because even when he leaves the Raiders and Carr goes to the Saints end up hiring Gruden as a consultant, and he worked with Carr in that offseason when he was in New Orleans. So there was some kind of mutual affinity for each other they had there. And a lot of Raider fans were actually pissed off, saying that Gruden should have gotten his guy when he took over the Raiders job this last time and went cold turkey and gone away from Carr to get his guy.
Yeah. No, I think, and Gruden was good for Carr in some sense, but also two things I know what he could be, I can see as a detriment to him as well in his development. He'll help him understand the game, seeing particular things, making decisions. He do a great job of that, no question. But like the temperament, Gruden's coaching style won't work with these players now, too emotional now. Some guys, yeah, for sure. It takes patience. Sometimes that style of how things were it's a little different.
To bring it back around to this quote, John Gruden, Coach Gruden. Would Coach Gruden ever say he was terrified of making up a game plan for his quarterback?
No, heck no. He probably ripped him apart for sitting there saying that. It's like, what are you doing? Why would you sit there and say you're terrified? You got everybody in national media thinking everybody's scared and the Chiefs are scared. He probably rip him a new one. I know he would. I just sit back and just love like, oh, we might get into it now. Oh boy. Oh man. So.
Oh, that's good. Because when I saw that, I was trying to think of the guys who would be opposite of saying they'd be terrified. The enemy came to mind first, and then I was like, okay, well, Gruden would never be terrified of any such thing. So,
Thomas Pinky, what's up, Pinky? Good to see you again, my bro. Said, I feel the Chiefs missed that from coaching staff this year. Coach said would put a fire underneath them when the opportunity was needed. I agree. Maybe needed a little bit more of that. You kind of go in and I don't know if they did it or not. We'll get there to that point, man. Just sometimes as a coach, you need to come in and just turn some tables and shit. And just go at it and say, look. And that's why I used to love Al's approach. Al used to say it in a way I'm like, I love how you're saying this. Because Al be like, watch this guy get beat. This is terrible. Now, look, this could be anybody. And so he used to say, this could be anybody. But we're talking about this play in particular, right? So it make you feel like, okay, yeah, well, shoot. Yeah, it can be anybody. It's just not me, right? Make you feel a little bit about it. He didn't make you feel small. And sometimes you have coaches make you feel small, man. That ain't really the guy that you want. And sometimes guys don't gel that well with coaches that do things like that. So that's why Belichick is not coaching the NFL at this moment.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works in college.
Well, Neff is on here. We've been talking about this. He's a big UNC fan. I think it has something to do with a little tenderoni might soften him up a little bit.
What, dating the 20-year-old?
Yeah, it might soften him just a little bit. Yeah. He has a whole different,
a new lease on life.
Yeah, on life. A little bit more perspective now, Marcus. He's a little bit more cheerful. He's smiling a whole lot. He's not wearing the old drab sweatshirts and all those different things. He got a little pep in his step. Good for him. Go ahead, Bill. Good for you.
Chad said haters hate. All right. So now we're going to get to looking at the D line, the trenches. Guys, I mean, it's going to be a theme of the offseason, guys. So if you guys don't like the trenches talk, I don't know what to tell you, because it's going to be a lot of trenches talk on Chief Concerns this offseason, guys. You guys watch the Super Bowl, you know exactly the reason why I'm saying that. So, All right. So this week we are going to begin with the defensive line. This is the defensive line on the roster. Okay, so we're going to begin with the kind of the departures, potential guys who could be gone, potential guys who could be back in our current room, D-line room, and just kind of looking at some of the numbers for the guys who are potentially on the way out. So these are our free agents right now. So Derek Nottie, D-tackle, Mike Pinnell, D-tackle, Marlon Tupelotu, who hasn't really played, Charles Medahu, obviously JD saw him this past year. We'll get to his numbers in a little bit, but Tershawn Ward returned it on this year, and then Malik Herring, who a lot of people thought Malik Herring was going to step up and be a rotational edge rusher, never really caught on. But looking at the free agents, JD, obviously, who are the ones that stand out to you of these guys here that you'd like to see back on a good number?
Well, I think the first ones that jump out to me, obviously, is Turk. Deshaun Warrington, man, did a great job against the run and the pass, man. He brought some energy to the game. He was one of my favorite players, actually, man, this year, really. And so I enjoy just watching him week in and week out. So he stepped his game up immediately to make it. The other guy, Charles Menahu, for sure. Charles coming back off the ACL, came back a little bit earlier than what he needed to. And I think he was just ready to play. He was just ready to play. I seen toward the end of the season, though, he was a little slowed down by that knee. That knee was affecting him. But, whole offseason and stuff like that, I think he'll be right as rain, brother. I think he'll be right back to where he needed to be. And so I know sometimes rushing back because you just, man, you're anticipating doing well, doing all those different things. And sometimes, as somebody who's dealt with knee injuries, you just need that time for that knee to heal. But he would be a monster to come back. He'd be a monster to bring him back as well. And also, I like Mike. I think Mikey P did a good job. the biggest arms in the NFL, man. He was able to hold it down. He was one of the premier guys that was helping stop the run. And I think Mike earned his position. I think he earned his paycheck the way that as a man should, especially playing that position. He did a great job. So those three, I didn't see much of Marlon. I know he was a guy they brought in, was kind of on the practice squad, trying to get him ready and get him prepared. I wish I'd seen more of him. I don't know. That's something I had to ask about him too. Derek Nandi. Derek just wasn't the same after, man, the injury to his pec. Was it pec or was it no, it was a bicep, I think, wasn't it? It was one of those things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I forget what his injury was.
Y'all help me out on what he had on the problem with him. But he just didn't seem the same. He didn't seem the same like he played back before the injury,
Yep.
To be honest with you. Now, and I like the Derek Nandi. He was a guy that I was hoping was going to be able to step up, and he didn't get getting hurt,
Yep.
which is like just the NFL, which is just like the NFL. So I don't know how they're going to feel about that as far as. But for me, the main three was Turk, Charles Menahu, and then Mike Pennell.
Yep.
And so
Pennell was a Super Bowl hero last year. I know people want to only think about the most recent one, which I get. But last year, Pennell was a big part of the reason why we stopped that run game. We picked him up mid-season last year to bring him back to Kansas City for a return. And he was a huge part of stopping that McCaffrey, the run game last year.
Yeah. But Marcus, for me now, this is why I said, for the draft, for what we have, I think we need to go after a defensive tackle. I think we need to go after a defensive tackle, man. We need to have another guy, like I said, a Batman or Robin. I think, Turk played a good Robin to Chris Jones, but Chris Jones is still a little wore out. You need a guy to come in and play solid tricep. That's what it was, tricep. Okay. So, yeah, that whole pushing and stuff like that, I'm the Brown. Appreciate it, my brother. It's really tough. And if you can't get the lockout as far as the defensive tackle, man, that's where you live. That's where you live.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. It's hard.
It's a great draft for defensive tackles. And if you guys have been watching the show for the last, I would say 3 years, JD and I have been calling for a partner in crime, the Batman to the Robin of Chris Jones, for a long time to find a D tackle next to Chris Jones. And this might be the draft they finally do it because the value, the talent is there for defensive tackles in this draft. There's potential we can get like one of the top defensive tackles at our pick in the at 31. So this is the draft to do that, to go get that D tackle that we need. And I mean, JD, we talk about the guys who are leaving. This is who we have on the roster right now at defensive line. We only have 3 D tackles, only one of which was a guy who was on the active roster. Fabian Lovett and Siaki Ika was just picked up this past year. By the way, I will say I liked him coming out of out of Baylor a couple of years ago. I think he was ended up being a 3rd-round pick to the Browns. He never really worked out there to 2 years ago, I believe. Fabian Lovett, practice squad guy as well as Siaki Ika. So Chris Jones is really the only guy who's on the active roster at D tackle who's currently on the roster right now. And then you move the DN aspect. You got Mike Dana, Karlaftis, FAU. Hopefully that 1st-round pick comes to fruition at some point here. We'll see. And BJ Thompson. So it's pretty bare right now in the D-line room. And I know this is why you had it as your number 1 priority this offseason. It's pretty bare right now. So Beach is going to have to obviously we're gonna look at some of the the 3 guys you mentioned. I kind of listed some things here, but Beach is gonna have a hands full to fill up this defensive line room.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Jones, Kalafkis, I think Mike Dana did an amazing job this year. Kalafkis had some really good games, but I think we need another guy, another defensive end. Felix did a decent job. He's another one of those that still needs to develop, get a little bit stronger, get his stuff down. So hopefully this offseason, that's what we're going to see with him, merging into that guy that we thought he was as far as being a 1st-round pick. I really do. But as you see over here, Marcus, and I keep going back to this, D-line, corner, and then you see DN. And I think we need that guy. We need a pure pass rusher who can get after the football. Big guy, long arm, strong, that is just going to be an absolute monster and a problem for offensive tackles. Okay. I love it with Karlaftis giving his all. He's one of those guys. We needed a guy that's going to, just high motor type of dude. Mike Dana's another guy, man. I love Mike Dana. Does an amazing job. Needs hats off to Mike Dana, man. He gets attaboys all over the place for sure. But I do believe that we need another guy at these positions. And so, go ahead.
Do you expect? I know, obviously, expectations we talk about all the time, but at this point, I feel like FAU throughout his first 2 years really hasn't done much. That the bar is kind of set low for him in this third year coming up. That's we're going to need production. I mean, he was a first round pick. We're going to need production from him this year, especially if we do let some of these guys go. Let's say we don't bring back Omenahu. And I do think we are going to have to go get an edge and a D tackle in this draft or in the offseason in general. But I feel like we should be expecting some kind of production out of FAU. Where do you stand right now on expectations for FAU going into the third year?
I mean, man, it's all on him. I mean, as a first-round pick, man, you want to see him immediately make an impact. I mean, when you're a first-round pick, you're asked to make an immediate impact as soon as you come off, as soon as you sign it, put your name, pen to paper. It's like, hey, man, you ready to go. Don't need to develop you. You are here. You are ready. So that's what I expect. But yeah, Joe E said Chiefs D-line looks weak in talent. It's hard, Joe. It's hard because a lot of names don't really jump out other than Chris Jones, and some people was just saying Chris Jones. I'm like, I just don't even have that conversation. Shoot, we know Chris Jones is the best defensive tackle in the league. Didn't look that great. Calf was messing with him, and tough.
I mean, Karlaftis came up bigger as the season progressed a little bit, but it did seem like there was a little bit of a kind of stagnation for him this year.
Yes, for sure.
So hopefully, he can make a jump here. But yeah, FAU's the big one. If he's a miss and we don't really see much from him this third year, that's where that's what happens. You have a team that's spending so much money on the quarterback, on the D tackle. You kind of have to hit on your first round picks. Like we did a couple years ago with the that class, the McDuffie class. We hit on all those picks, right? And that's where we are right now. That's why we are where we are. But FAU, when you hit on that first round pick, that's a huge miss if he doesn't come out in this third year and kind of show why we drafted him. And if I remember correctly, he was supposed to be a pretty pro ready guy. And it just hasn't stuck yet.
Yeah. As it came to fruition. Yeah. But I think this is a good draft, man, for D-line. It's a great draft for it. I think this is where you strike at this moment right now that you have to do it. Getting a guy in. And a guy that's like I'm talking about being an immediate impact on the inside with the Chris Jones. And so that's what you're looking for. And then also, too, like I said, man, maybe a defensive end out there as well. That's going to be able to solidify what you do. I think once you do that, and we've seen this, okay? I think we were talking about somebody made my gosh, well, I think O-line should be first. I said, man, look, did you watch the Eagles' defensive line? Did you watch them?
Nonstop, man.
Yeah, and they got early first-round picks to upgrade to where they are now. That's why they're that good. The Nolan Smith, Jalen Carters, and all. That's why. So you need to get a guy in here that will help out your linebackers, help out your pass rush and your pressures. Okay?
Yeah.
That's why you do that. That's why you make that. It makes the offensive guys' names a lot easier. A lot easier. So
I know Tage is all in on the D line as far as our first round pick. I think it's where he's headed with our first pick. So he's with you on the first round pick going D line. I'm actually watching him to my right over here, JD. He's watching YouTube on D tackles in the draft right now. So he's all in. Yeah. The other day I came in on him watching the Kentucky D tackle. Yeah.
That's what we need, baby. That's what we need. That's what I'm looking for. We get him, man. Shoot. You talking about him and Chris? Problems. And
big problems, man. That, JD, for the last 3 years of you and I wishing for a D tackle for the first 2 rounds, I'd be very happy. I'd be like, you know what? It was all worth it. We got a real stud next to CJ. So
yes, sir.
So looking into kind of, I kind of picked out some of the big names who are free agents for our guys. So Nadi, back last year, we signed him to a 1-year deal worth $2 million. 2024, like JD said, the tricep injury really did impact him. This year is pretty rough for him. Career lows in total tackles, solo tackles. It was a rough year. I mean, if you look at his numbers this year, it was a huge decline from years past for him. So not the best. A lot of nadas for Derek Nadi this year.
Yeah, it's a shame. And then, like I said, coming off an injury, man. Coming off injury is always tough. Sasha said, never sign a UK player. Now, Deion Walker, that's his name. So I throw it to you, Mike Brennan. You can check him out. Deion Walker is that guy. He's a beast, 6'6", 345. You talking about manhandling people? Watch his film. Just take a good gander at him.
Tasia, Mike Brennan wants to know if you have any guys that you're watching the combine / draft with D tackles.
Oh, man.
What about Deion?
Tyleek Williams highlights.
Who?
Tyleek Williams.
Is that Ohio State? Tasia right now is watching Tyleek Williams.
Another one. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ohio State's D tackle.
They got him, I think, ranked 4th, Tage, right now.
Ranked 4th right now, Tasia, kind of overall, as far as D tackles.
Yeah,
he's liking what he's watching right now.
Did you check out Deion?
Oh yeah, he was watching the other day. Yeah, Deion Walker, Tasia. Where do you stand, Deion Walker, Tasia?
Not as high as I once was.
Tasia says he's not as high as he once was on Deion Walker. Why?
Tell JD he's built like a nose tackle, but thinks he's a 3 tech.
Tasia said to tell you he's built like a nose tackle, but he thinks he's a 3 tech.
Yeah, he's a 3 tech.
JD says he's a 3 tech.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, he's not really built that way, though.
No, all we need, tell Tate, we'll talk about it.
Tell him 5'11", 270, Willie Lampkin stood him up at the Senior Bowl.
He said 5'11", 270, Willie Lampkin stood him up at the Senior Bowl.
Man, hey, if somebody going to win one on you, watch his game tape, his highlights.
Yeah, his highlights are something else.
Yeah, don't look at Senior Bowl. If you say that, man, shoot, I had one dude block me at Senior Bowl, looked terrible. I remember that rep. It
still sticks with you, huh?
Yeah, I remember it. Lost my feet, and the dude got down, and then, because like I heard him groaning, like I was like, shh. Something he got me on that one, but I was like, man, that sucker will never get me again, and and especially in Senior Bowl, you rotate quick, get guys in there. Come on, let's go. So, but I tell you what, if I had that sucker to do all over again, man, I would have a different plan. And sometimes your game plan when you try to put a move on, it didn't work. Good job for the 5'11" dude. I tell you what, though, I take my money on Deion Walker every other time. That's the guy.
I mean, watching his tape, it stands out so well.
Absolutely.
Just thinking about him with next to Jones. Oof.
SEC ball right there, baby.
Man.
Dude, come on, Mississippi State in Kentucky?
Yeah, there you go.
Neff always said, dude ran over Jay to remember now. You had to see it now. No, you did not. That was a rep in practice. You didn't see that.
That was before the days where they were videotaping the practices for the NFL Network.
Yeah, it was one bad rep. No big deal.
So the other guys, the guy you want to keep, Mike Pinnell, JD. So last year signed a 1-year, $1.2 million deal. What a great deal. If they can get him on something like that, it'd be nice. And after the Super Bowl, it's interesting. So when all the guys are coming back in the tunnel, there's video that Pennell goes to like the side gate area, Brett Veach comes to him and they hug and they have a long embrace. Nobody else had a long embrace of Brett Veach besides Pennell. Obviously, he's been here for a while. Yeah, I thought that was interesting that he had a really long embrace with him. But 2024 career high in sacks for him was 5th on the team in sacks with 3. Pretty interesting coming from RT tackle. But JD, these numbers, I mean, look at 1 year, 1.2 mil. I mean, do you think that's something we could kind of think he's going to get higher than that? Or
Suckers got that in their back pocket.
Yeah.
Man, shoot, it's easy. Plus, he's going to be taking. Mike's been in there long enough that through the NFL, he'll sign. Part of his signing will go through covered by the NFL.
Okay.
So that's why I won't count that much against the cap, because after a certain number of years you get in the league, vet minimum to keep vets in, they'll take on part of that. So it helps out.
And plus, I mean, we're talking about revamping the kind of the whole D line room, right? Besides Karlaftis, Jones, and Dana, and those guys. You kind of need an elder statesman in the room. He's been around the block. I mean, I know everyone wants to get younger. That's fine. But having one of those kind of guys, especially the D tackle, 33-year-old guy, I think he's going to be turning 34 next year. I kind of like having at least one elder statesman in the D line room. If we're going to go young, draft the D tackle, maybe bring a couple edges. I'd like to have an elder statesman and a 34-year-old guy coming back.
He's perfect for us. Don Peter said, I remember getting my butt blocked out of a play in Pop 1, and I'm still pissed. Yeah. We all have that. We all have that. Neff had a dude on kickoff. He caught the ball, and this dude on kickoff took his helmet and knocked his helmet off, and face mask, and his mouthpiece.
Chad, come on, you getting worked out there?
Smelling salts. Nah, I'm just. It was actually him that did it. Chad, he made the news and went all around the state of Kentucky. It was like one of the nasty hits of their football season. They kept showing it, how the sub segment, the sports shows. They always show a play. They would always show his play.
Dang,
opening up the play like football. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Well, Chad was a baller from what you guys have told me. So I mean,
baller, baller. Mm-hmm.
Love that. Which you call it? Cheap, talented, heaps of energy. What's not to love about Mike Pennell? I mean, girl man strength right there.
Absolutely.
So the next one's Charles Omenihu. Now, the thing that's got interesting with Charles Omenihu, JD, I do want to talk to you about Charles Omenihu. So Omenihu, 2 years ago, signs a 2-year deal worth $16 million bucks. This is where things kind of get shaky for me, at least. So over the last 2 years since he's played with us, we could have played at 41 total games. Charles Omenihu played in 23 of the 41 games. He has suspension, a few injuries here and there, but playing about 50% of snaps for us. 10 sacks in the last 2 years. And according to Spot Track, they give his AAV about $11.8 million. So that would be about $12 million a year is what they think he's going to get demand this offseason. So that's about $4 million more than what we gave him this past year. Then tonight, probably about 20 minutes before we came on the show, Charles Omenihu, it's like he knew we were going to do a show about D-line tonight, JD. He tweets, "Know your worth." That's it. So one of the first cryptic tweets of the offseason from a free agent here. Mm-hmm. What do you make about all these numbers here? Him not playing as much, and just overall the know your worth aspect. I mean, where would you kind of set his kind of market if we were talking about prices here, JD?
Well, obviously played in 23 games. He had the suspension, then of course the injury that kept him out of it. That was the reason for him missing those games. That was it. And here's the thing. Charles played really well the year before he had gotten hurt. It was a monster out there. It looked like a match made in heaven. And so, talking to Omenihu, man, he's got a lot of fire in his belly. He's a hell of a player. That's for daggone sure. And I think because he knows it, Chiefs know it, the league knows it, but also, too, this is how contract negotiations work. And so what they'll do is They'll bring every point that you brought up, Marcus, that you only played 23 games out of the 41. You had 10 sacks in 2 seasons. But your projection is 11.8. That's what they're going to say. That's how these negotiations go. And so for Charles, it's very important as a player to know what your worth is. If you feel like you're worth more money than that, which I do agree, you got to go for it. You have to. And so and this is his only injury. That's what we talked about. He said, man, big brother, that was it. This is my only injury. Never been hurt before. So it was just new to him. This all season, he had time to let the knee rest, get strong, and all those different things. He's going to be back to his old self. It's going to be on another team to take that chance and opportunity on him, to pay him the big bucks. Charles feels like he's worth the big bucks. And I tend to agree. He's a great defensive end. Man, he's so versatile. He came down and played defensive tackle for us. So that increased his worth because of his versatility. But this is how the NFL goes, man. NFL is going to negotiate what they feel like you're worth, and you got to stick to your guns. You have to. And so if the Chiefs don't buy into it, I'm sure Charles is like, hey, man, then I got to go somewhere else. I can become a free agent and see what the market holds. But this is part of negotiation. You got to convince them and show that you are that guy that is worth all that money. Okay? You got to be the guy. And for them, they're going to have guys come in and try to convince you that you're not worth that money, and try to get you at a team-friendly deal, or try to get you a little bit lower than what you sign up for. So I think it's a beautiful message because everybody needs to know their worth. Every single one of us. So regardless of whatever you do at work, make sure you get paid what you feel like you're worth, and you should. I think we need to do more of that. The problem is that we don't, and sometimes our employers they downplay our significance or our importance to the organization, and they use it against us. And a lot of it do in the real world because they feel like, we can just move on from you. And some will. But some people, what I love about it is the character that they display and the perseverance is that they stick with their guns. They know who they are. They know they're worth more than what they are. Somebody's willing to pay them. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you got to take that chance and opportunity. So this is going to be, this is what this is going to be with Menahu. It's going to be contract negotiations between him and the Chiefs. Okay. So I don't know what he's looking for. But I know it's definitely more than 11.8 that they're projecting for him. He wants more. I think significantly more than that. Because he feels like he can make a difference on the team. And when he has played, you have seen the difference he has been able to make. You can see his impact on the game. So, I encourage you, man, stick to your guns. Stick to it.
Some of the different websites, obviously Spot Track's the one that is the one that kind of keeps up to date with all the contracts and whatnot. They put out projections for certain players.
Yeah.
They project him at about $12 million a year, which obviously would be $4 million more than what we were paying him a year, which would be. Do you think? And this is something that I was just about to ask this. Sasha asked a heavy incentive based contract. So let's say they're talking. Let's say, look. And you obviously know the conversations that we're going to go, JD. Brett's like, look, we love having you here. You played 23 to 41 games. We know what you can do the defense, but we just feel comfortable knowing the injuries and the suspensions that you had. We feel comfortable paying you this base amount with an incentive base to get you about 14 to 15 million for a 1 year, an incentive based deal, maybe 9 sacks or whatnot. I don't know, something to kind of, to kind of give him that. Do you think that's probably where they're going to go with it? Maybe short-term deal? Yes.
Yeah, possibly they'll do that. Okay. They'll use the injury just for, to validate what they're doing, what they're talking about. And to be honest with you, he has to argue against it. And for him, he may not want to do a high incentive-based contract. And I agree with it. He feels like he's been here enough to approve what they have and what y'all seen enough. So what do I need as far as high base incentive contract? Guys want guaranteed money. That's what sells. That's what guys buy into. So you can have a higher incentive contract. Yeah, some guys may take it. Some may. Or maybe he's sitting there saying, like, look, how about y'all just go ahead and invest with me right now? And I've done the same. I've done the same, Marcus. I've done the same, brother. And you had to know your worth. I told you like I was all the time. My last time signing with the team, my last contract, I said, look, it's real simple here. I've been out here. I was leaving from Oakland, just came from Oakland, talking to their staff, and I was in the airport in Denver. Called my agent, was like, "Hey, we need to get Jason here. We seen what Oakland just offered him, and we want to offer him something higher. We want it." And they changed my flight, put me on a first class ticket to Denver, and within 2 minutes, Carl Peterson was on the phone with me. And it was like, okay, what's going on? So, yeah, I heard you came from, Oakland. You're heading out to Denver. We know Denver's going to have something on the table. What do you think about this? And I said, look, Carl, here's the deal with me, okay? I don't feel like flying all over the country. I don't. Obviously, the teams they know my value. They play against me. They're in the same division. So they know what I bring to the table. They had no problem making that payment and doing those things. And I had to basically negotiate, just like my agent negotiated. Well, I don't know if I pay a backup tight end. I said, no, I'm not a backup tight end. I started when I was in Philly. I'm here as, a 1A starter. It's me and Tony on each side. Tony's catching all the footballs, but I can't catch balls and stuff like that too. I've shown that. But I'm not looking at being a backup tight end and play. These guys are paying me to be the starter. And that's what I'm ready to go do. And so I said, it's real simple. If I come back to Kansas City, it's either one or two things. It's either me taking stuff out of my locker, or it's me coming and putting stuff in and being a Chief for my time. And he said, Jason, give me 3 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and start drafting things. I said, at the end of the day, it's going to be my name on it and your name on the contract. That's what it's going to be. And we was able to get something done. So Menahu's going to have to do the same thing. When you go into negotiation, man, you got to make it personal. You got to make them know that who you are, what you stand on, what you bring to the table. They know that. They know what they got out of Charles Menahu. They know how hard he works. They know what his heart is, his passion. They know that. They know they're going to get a player in Charles Menahu. So the negotiation part of it is, what can we talk down on and what can we get for? So he got to stick to his guns, man. The Chiefs do too. It's business. It's NFL business, brother. It's NFL business.
Yeah. At the end of the day, everyone in the chat's pretty much saying that when Menahu came back, and that you'd also make the argument too. If you want to use his numbers against him, he may have not come back fully healthy. Maybe he needed to come back because we needed him because Joe was getting triple teamed and no one was, there's not much help there for a little bit. He comes back, the double teams and triple teams were gone. He's in there playing, maybe not 100%, maybe it's 75%, 80%, but he came in and gave us what he could give us. And that's why sometimes I can't stand when people use the stats against players. I get it, you have to, it's the business, but these guys are coming back. They're not 100%. They're playing. They're giving it to you all. But when it comes to contract negotiations later on, they're gonna be like, "Well, you didn't produce, But like, yeah, I came back when I wasn't ready. Yeah, my numbers weren't there because I wasn't 100%. But like, you're gonna use that against me now because I came back early from my injury to help.
Right. If anything, that should mean something.
Yeah.
That should show you my dedication to this team and loyalty. That I was willing to go out there. Maybe if I'm not 100%, but I'm out there to give you something to make sure that Chris Jones and those guys not getting double teamed. Like, I'm going to bring something to the table. And if I'm coming out here, if I'm 75, 8%, and I'm doing better than the guys that you got out here that's been out here, then that's an issue, no problem. How come you can't see me as an answer? So, yeah, man. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I hope Brett Veach does what he can to keep Charles Menahu in Kansas City. Like we just went over who's on the roster right now. Losing him would hurt because he gives us versatility. He can play inside, he can play outside, and
we need to work something out with him.
Yeah. So hopefully Veach can do that. So our last guy here of looking at our free agent list for our defensive ends and D tackles, Tershawn Wharton, a guy who, grinded it out, man. He's grinded to where he's become this guy. He's probably going to get paid big time this offseason, and he deserves it, man. Last year signs a 1-year deal, worth $2.7 million, 2024, career high in sacks. Second on the team in sacks, which again, another D tackle at the end kind of tweener. We had Pinnell who had 3 sacks. He gets 6.5 sacks last year. And the current projection, according to Bleacher Report, is around 3 years worth $21 million. So around $7 million a year for Tershawn Wharton. Awesome for him. I will say the one thing is when I see these projections, last year at this time, you and I both thought that Mike Dana was going to be highly sought after. We thought he was going to get paid somewhere, but we get to, 2 months into free agency and he's still out there. And it's like, and then he comes home on a really good team friendly deal. I don't know what's going to happen in this situation because Tershawn Wharton really played his butt off this year. But how do you see a Tershawn Wharton situation going? Do you think he is going to get paid?
Man, it's hard to say. Mike Dana, and I will say this too, that sometimes it depends on the scheme that you run. Okay, Mike Dana was a kind of a smaller size defensive end, and every team's not going to love him. Every team's not going to go ahead and say, okay, this is our guy. He's got to work for our scheme. So Turk is kind of in the same position. He's not the tallest guy, maybe not the biggest. So just looking at his size, he's 6'1", 280, okay, which is not big for a defensive tackle. It's not. Really undersized. If he was 6'1", maybe 310, it'd be a different thing. Another 30 pounds, he's a run stopper and all those different things that you can guess. But 280, you get pushed around on the in the run game. And so teams may not want that. They may not. They might want to put him in a different position, Marcus. But it's kind of hard to say, man, with these projections and stuff, man. I know he's valuable to us. I think the Chiefs need to go ahead and find that out. I think he's a priority for us to get back. I would love to have him. Like I said, him, Menahu. If you get Pinnell back, good. Then get a dude in the draft. Get what you need. Get your monster in the draft, man, and that's your rotation. That is your rotation. With Dan and those guys, man, I think we need one guy, D-line and defensive end, 2 guys at those positions, we'll be fine. That's what you need. You need a great rotation of guys that can cover every possible thing you need for defense. And it helps out tremendously. A big difference. Huge, huge difference. So, yeah, I don't know what everybody's throwing these numbers around, man. It's nothing, right? To me, it doesn't.
I mean, it would be nice for the Menahu aspect of things. It would be nice just to have him like for a full season because both times we haven't had him right out the gate, right? He's gonna be coming into next year fully healthy. Okay, finally, Spags is gonna have him. Before his first year of the suspension, this year, he's coming off the injury from the Baltimore game. Now, finally, in 2025, we have a chance to have him from right out the gate. I would love that. Then you have Tershawn Wharton, who, obviously, a Missouri guy, from St. Louis, went to Missouri S&T, I believe. And he comes to Kansas City, kind of grinds out a career in the NFL. And, he's going to get paid this offseason, be it in Kansas City, be it not. But we want a D tackle in the draft. We want an edge rusher in the draft. And we get to a point here where it's like, you can't have a million young dudes playing in this. Sure, we did it with the DBs a couple of years ago, but like we had Snead, we had some with Justin Reed, we had some, veterans in that group. I'd like to have more than just Chris Jones and being able to keep Tershawn Wharton and Menahu mixed in with Karlaftis and then bring in these rookies and these young guys. I want to have a stable of the kind of rotation of guys you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it'll work beautiful, having a guy like that here. Older guy who's been around, we know him. It'd be perfect for our defense. You could teach a young guy. You can help a young guy out. So you help him get his feet and stuff like that wet because you know exactly what it is and what's demanded of you in those positions. So, and he'll work. The way he worked this past year, man, was impressive to me. Come on. 6'1", 280, defensive tackle. I mean, that's high school numbers. Size guys that playing defensive tackle. Heck, I spoke at a football banquet last night. And some jokers right there. I said, man, well, shoot. Man, y'all jokers should have been more than what y'all were. So over here looking through here like a daggone NFL player walking around. 6'3". He's bigger than Turk. 6'3", 280. So 6'1", 280, man. Monster, speed, all those different things. Man. Hey, man. It makes sense to me. I want to let me talk to Richard Jaramillo. What's up, Richard? I'm going to address your question. What about letting Bolton walk if he wants too much and keeping Uche? Okay. So I'm a huge Nick Bolton guy. He's our general on defense, no question about it. Leading tackler on our team past few years for a reason. Puts and sets the defense everywhere you need to for guys to be in the position they need to be in. Does a great job tackling in space, getting to the open lanes and hitting and getting guys up there. That's why he needs a good defensive tackle in front of him besides just Chris Jones for he can do and play well. But I don't think Uche's he's not for that position. That's not what he plays. Somebody said you get rid of Bolton and bring Chanel in the inside. Chanel is a good player, but he's not sideline to sideline like Bolton. He's not as fast as Bolton. He doesn't have the quickness. Maybe tackle to tackle? Sure. Be great at it. But I think you lose just a little bit of the quickness of what, as far as recognition for Chanel, when you got to get a little bit, these guys to the outside. And so I think he kind of labors a little bit. He got some speed. He got some power. I mean, he's suited for Mike in college, or college for sure. NFL, shoot, I think maybe if he was down maybe 5-10 pounds, possibly, he could definitely do it. But yeah, I like Bolton there anyway. Go ahead.
JD, can you explain, because this isn't the first, this question about Uche, like getting rid of Bolton and then having Uche step in. I mean, I've seen a few comments on our YouTube channel. I mean, it's just totally different positions. I mean, like Uche is literally just an edge rusher. I mean, he's like a small forward or shooting guard in basketball, just playing edge rusher. And like, obviously that's not our kind of guy, but Uche's not going to be back there in the middle. He's not a middle linebacker. That's just not happening. Yeah.
Somebody sees say, bring back Willie. We let Willie walk for a reason. So, if they thought that, they would have kept him here. So.
And he didn't break the bank at all. It was like a 1 year, like $2 million deal with the Saints. So.
Yeah. If he's able to come back here sure. Team-friendly deal, absolutely. Without a doubt. I think we need a little bit of depth there at that linebacker position. He would be a great job beside Bolton, those guys. It'd be like our old times. Old times. So, and then maybe, heck, if you wanted to do that, then you could have Chanel playing outside defense all the time. Have him be your rush guy. I like that part a bit better. Explosion and quickness, I don't know, man. Maybe some things you can do there. But I like Nick Bolton. I like Nick Bolton a lot. I don't think you get rid of your leading tackler, your general on defense, young guy, and he knows how to find the football. When Spags says the things that I'm thinking, that's what Bolton's out there for. He knows my thoughts. He knows exactly what I want. He knows I put guys in the right position, the right place to make plays. And we've seen him make play after play after play, and he's done that. Maybe another undersized guy, linebacker, but he gets the job done. Sam Mills type and all those type. We got the small linebackers and shoot, they rip it up.
Yeah, Bolton. I mean, a lot of people have been saying like, "Oh, Bolton's going to take a lot of our money." Middle linebackers don't get paid a lot anymore. They're not. They're like running backs now. They don't get paid as much as they once did back in the early 2000s when you were playing. They were taking a lot of the cap. It's not that anymore. Now the only ones on defense who are taking the money is cornerbacks and edge rushers. That's it. Everybody else is kind of just taking what they can get.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be good. How about how you swear Tariq wants to come back? Oh man, come on.
Yeah, come on. High value, high yield. Come on now.
Yeah, we ain't got enough duckers for that.
Yeah, if you want to take a hometown discount or a return discount, then yeah, I'm in.
Melly Matrix said we can't pay everybody. Tell him, Melly. Tell him we can't pay everybody. That's a daggone sure, man. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Man, look. Start looking at your wallet and stuff like, hey man, look, we got a little money. They have to turn their money to the side and see how much money they got to pay. Blow it out. We just say we ain't got it. We ain't got it.
So we got some questions that I have keyed up from throughout the episode before we head out of here. So we got 3 questions here that I saw. Lonnie Pyramid question: who do you think we should bring back, Hollywood or Omenahu?
Yes, we say Hollywood or Omenahu. It had to be between those two, Lonnie.
I think he heard your list last week, and he wants to see which one you're more prioritizing between the two.
Oh man. Well, you know what, Lonnie? Both of these guys in the same position. To be honest with you, they really are. Hollywood, does he feel like he's worth more money to go somewhere else and go play, and he's healthy? Same thing with Omenahu. He's wanting some money. Does he go somewhere else and go play because he wants more money? So I think both these guys are going to be in that contract negotiation, Marcus. I really do. These are the 2 guys when I sat there on the list was sitting there saying, like, they might just be, kind of cap casualty. We don't know what they're asking for, what they want. Are either one of these guys willing to sign a team fully deal? I don't think so. Hollywood may be more accepting of it than Omenahu. Possibly.
Hollywood's interesting because last year he really had no market. He really wasn't hurt the year before, and he came to us on a discount, but more of a prove it type deal. And he really didn't really prove it, right? So how much is his market going to really change from what it was last year? That's the only thing for me that like makes me think that Hollywood is more of a definitive coming back, especially when him and Mahomes built up that rapport this past offseason. And I feel like you guys saw the clip of Mahomes on the sideline at the end of the game. Hollywood comes up to him and says, it's an honor playing with you. And whatnot. And Mahomes says, don't worry, we'll be back next year. We'll be back. So it's like, I do think the Hollywood's going to return, and I don't think he's going to break the bank. I know a lot of people think that he's going to break the bank. If he was getting what he got 1 year, $7 million, and then set it up to 11 last year when he had 700 yards the year prior, he's not going to get that this year when he only had 140 yards receiving. He's not going to get any more than what he got last year.
Yeah, this is really this is a tough thing, man. It's really a tough thing. Couldn't help but got hurt. Will another team take their chances on it because of his skill set? Hollywood Brown runs great routes, has great hands, can take the top off of defense. He can do it all. It's not his fault that we didn't exploit him against our defense. The defenses we should have. Should have done a much better job getting him involved in some of the things that we were doing. That was kind of a little upsetting to me as well.
Yeah. The question marks for him going into last offseason was being injury prone. That was kind of his thing, his knock, and he got injured here. So like the question marks the teams had going into last offseason where he got paid 1 year, $7 million from us, they still kind of exist. I know different injury, right? It wasn't ankle or foot or leg. It was the clavicle. But like, at the end of the day, I just don't see his market going up that much, whereas as I'm seeing some people say out here.
No, I mean, it's all based off need. If a team needs you, they won't mind paying. If they got the cap space, they will pay for it, especially if they can see you in their system. So that's what guys are banking on. Maybe it's a team like, hey, man, we'll pay you $12 million a year. To come out here and do what you want to do. That's $5 million more. Heck, maybe you give us a chance and opportunity for a Super Bowl and a chance to be there. Maybe you are that piece that we need. And that's the selling point. It's what teams use all the time.
Yeah.
So, and you got to believe in you got to believe in it. You got to believe in your worth. Like Charles Minna, who's know your worth.
There you
Know your
go.
worth. Came and did the prove it deal, didn't quite work out the way that you want, but you know you're worth more. So it's tough, man. It's tough. But it'd be great to have Hollywood Brown back. So all the two, Hollywood being a priority to me, especially, Rashid Rice. We don't know how this is going to work out with him because everywhere that can't be just the only guy that we have. Shoot, D-Hop, there's a lot of different answers. A lot of different questions going into this offseason, Marcus.
So many. Another question here from Gallo83. How y'all feel about D-Hop? Great player. Just not sure how he fits in their scheme.
Love D-Hop, man. D-Hop, man, he's consummate pro. Wanted him here. We've been asking for D-Hop to be. He should have been here 3 years ago, Marcus. 3 years ago. He should have been done had a Super Bowl ring. I think we were trying to get him the football. When he was catching football, he looked great. He was able to get over. He was able to get him the football. And all of a sudden, it just kind of tailed off. He can help out with the room for sure, with the young guys and things that he needs. He's done that already. So I don't know, man. I'm always supportive of D-Hop getting a deal. Always.
Yeah, you can never have too many weapons in the wide receiver room.
No.
Especially with our luck with the what we've seen with our receivers get hurt, up the wazoo. So they have a lot of guys. That's a good problem to have, especially if they're going to take a hometown veteran discounts. Mm-hmm. Justin, I'm new here and I love it. Appreciate you, Justin. Welcome to the club, buddy.
Good to see you, brother. Welcome to the family.
So, question: do you think that the previous teams that whined about the refs could have affected the players, feeling that a flag may be thrown after every play and played safe?
Ruben the Cruz, good seeing you, man. He said he's signing off, man. God bless you too, my brother. We'll see you on Wednesday. Come on back. We'll see you. So, Justin, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. I'm new here and I love it. Do you think that the previous teams that whined about the refs could have affected players, feeling that a flag may be thrown? No, not at all. For the simple fact that you could only control what you can control. So you can't worry about everybody whining about you. We've been hearing this all year just about. So it's nothing new. They weren't worried about that. You got to just go ahead and just go play. Don't worry about anything else, man. Let the refs do their job. You do yours. Okay? And so for Justin, that's what the guys, they had to focus on. They had to focus on, trying to get this three-peat, just winning the game and playing the scheme that they needed to. But you can't worry about the refs, man. You can't worry about it. Just go out there and go play, man. That's it. Whole lot of crying it was, boy. Whole lot of, oh, man, the Chiefs get all the calls and stuff like that. What happened to it? You didn't hear no stuff about it after the game was over, Marcus. What happened to refs then? They didn't help us. Since everybody was sitting there talking about, we had them in our hip pocket, paying them money. And all of a sudden, that sucker died down. Nobody said nothing.
Nope. And Jalen Carter got away with a two-hand punch through Mahomes' face mask, and he didn't even get fined for it after the fact. They didn't fine him for it.
They ain't fine him?
Nope.
Well, he got 15 yards on it, but I mean, was it a finable offense?
I mean, two hands to the face. I mean, I don't know. If we had the refs in our pockets, as most people think we do, we would be getting a little fine there.
Oh shoot! That wouldn't have helped out the game.
Yeah. How about Roger Goodell's pockets, though?
Yeah, well, they usually give those things to charity. Look, man, it's still football. Pat's a tough guy. He's okay.
All right, final question from Nana Sherry, our friend Nana. Will these guys we want to leave because the coaches did not play them enough? Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Hopkins, and Hollywood Brown.
I'm gonna say no. No. Appreciate your question, but the guys are getting, during the season, we started giving Kareem Hunt a heavy dose of him. He's doing a good job. Shame we didn't get him the ball in the Super Bowl, the biggest game of his career. We didn't get the ball to him. Shameful. That was on the coaches not doing that. Crazy. Same thing, D-Hop. You know, try to get in the ball. He had dropped one. Very, very out of character of D-Hop. But I think he loves it here. He's seen the culture. He loves it. It's probably one of the best places he's ever played. I think he said that. And we appreciate it, D-Hop. We respect it. So we have respect for guys. I think they understand that they enjoy being there. And being here with the Chiefs, it's a family. It's a family atmosphere. And they fight for each other and love each other. So it's a good organization. But I don't think it has nothing to do with the ball. Now, number 5, I don't know. It's a good question. Kind of what we were talking about, his worth and his value. Does he feel like he didn't quite get utilized when the last games he came back in? And while we were asking him to come back, he came back in one game, and we've seen a lot of him, Marcus, and all of a sudden he just kind of tailed off, and so I don't know.
Yeah, his first game back, they kind of peppered him with targets.
Man, like I think threw him like 5.
It was like 545, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, brother. I don't know. So
we said all along our offense had no rhythm all year. There was no real theme to what we were doing. It was a lot of randomness, and that's something I hope gets figured out next year. Maybe it has something to do with line problems, that there was no kind of flow every week. Each week was kind of random how we were going to go. Sometimes up tempo, sometimes coming to the run, but then most times going back to not coming to the run and no balance. So like hopefully there is a little bit more of that next year. But
they better. Go ahead. They better. I mean, like if you ain't learning from this, they said they're gonna learn from it. So hopefully learn better and know when you got guys back there run the daggone football. That's a shame. I'm still pissed off about it. I am. Because it makes no sense whatsoever, man. 2-9 should have a Super Bowl, at least let him tote the rock. Let it be on his shoulders. General 51 says, just imagine being a KC fan all my life and living in Philly, shaking my head, they talking heavy. Yeah, they're going to do that. You in Philly, baby. You in the heart of it. City of brotherly love, right? They're going to be spewing a whole lot of hate. I know what it is, man. I still hear it this day from all my Philly people up there. So it's all good. You can hang with it. So you stand up there, man, 10 toes down, chest out. All right? You let them know who you are.
Yeah. Can't win them all. Just tell them that you can't win them all. You'll let them have that one. But all right, guys. Well, that does it for us for this Monday morning tight end edition, the first one of our breaking down positional groups heading into NFL free agency. That does it for us. We'll see you guys Wednesday night. JD's got booked a beautiful guest for us on Wednesday, so that'll be fantastic. So definitely come back for that. JD, take it away, man.
Like I said, we're bringing our guy Mike Boyle out here. Y'all look up Mike Boyle, you're going to get a treat, man. I'm telling you, if he knows anything and everything about, the human body, working out, getting guys ready for the draft, he is that guy. I want to say Mike Boyle, if I'm not mistaken, might have worked with the team of the American team, beating the Russians, I think. Young dude then, the time. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But Mike Boyle's been around for a long time. Big guys ready. Okay. He's been one of those, man, being absolutely pivotal on the guys getting into the NFL. So it's going to be a good treat for y'all to see. Listen, y'all guys, appreciate y'all coming out, man. Hey, we missed you. So we're going to have a good conversation, man, on Wednesday for sure. Say bye to everybody in here, man. I see Amber Brown, Cordell Ingram, good to see you. Sasha as well. Hockey, yes, a hockey guy. Andre Chenault, good seeing you. General 51, my guy. Stay up, okay? Make sure 10 toes down. Don Peterson, my brother. Good seeing you. Kevin Mars as well. YB Negative, good seeing you, my guy. It's always good to see these new faces and names that come in here as well. Witchy Hall in here, Nine Sherry, and Ruben DeCruz. Who else we got it? Chiefs again. Chiefs 65 was in here. Lonnie Pyramid, good seeing you, Lonnie Pyramid. Richard Dramurillo, good seeing you, my guy. Maria DeJarnes, Mike Brennan. Who else we got in here? Melly Matrix, good seeing y'all. Man, I'm glad y'all came out. High value, high yield. Justin Theway, or however you say it, man. Good seeing you. Welcome to the family. Trey L, appreciate it, my guy. Always seeing you come in at the end and saying stuff. You always have good things to say as well. Who else we got in here? Neff, good seeing you, Neff. Always love you. Always a good time. Talk to you. I'll be seeing you soon. Greg Rose is in the house. Pono was in here earlier. Pono Canoe. G Pick. I know I already said him. If not, say it again. Sasha. Good seeing you, Sasha. Good talking to you as well. Demetrio Spence, my guy. Always good talking to you as well. Who else we got in here, man? There's a lot of people here tonight, Marcus. It's all, a
lot.
All our folks, man. It's all our folks, all our people. I love it. I love seeing y'all, man. I miss y'all. I do.
We got a lot of new subs over the last week or so. We've gained almost 100. So we got a lot of new people in here, I'm sure.
Good. We're the voice of reason. Come in here and come see it, man. We're gonna give you a good look about all these things that's going on. Okay, gonna get some other guys in here. We're gonna talk about it, ask some real questions. Okay, Linda Hunter, good seeing you. Coming in, Sparkle Sports Card. What's going down? Seeing you here as well. About Time was snuck in here. Hope your family's doing well. About Time. Who else we got in here? Down Block 9 TV. Good seeing you. Is in the house. There was another guy that we see. Iceman, new name. So Ray is in here. Good seeing you as well. Bowtie Sports LC, man. Todd and Chiefs Blitz, good seeing you guys. I'm glad y'all guys stepped in and come say what's up to us, man. Barbershop in the house. Good seeing you, Kimo. Don't want to miss out on you saying that as well. Man, I think it's pretty much it, Marcus. Listen, I know I take the time to say what's up to you all. And if I get to Ken Hornbuckle, Lonnie Pyramid, Akio from Denmark, or Norwegian. Norway. All right. Hanata W. Loved your last video. Appreciate it, Hanata. Thank you so much. Hey, Angie B, Macho Man. If I don't get to say your name, y'all know how we feel about you. We love you. We thank you so much coming out there, gracing your time with us, putting your investment in us as much as we put into you all. We'll keep putting out good content, talking about the Chiefs and all these other things. Give us a shout. Give us a holler. Let us know what you're thinking on your mind. We'll address it, won't we, Marcus? We'll talk about this.
Always.
Yeah? Okay.
Always.
We got Taze in the background working on it. So Taze is working in the background working on these things. Okay.
He's doing his draft prep for our draft show. So he's working. I was in the sauna with him earlier at the gym, and I see him writing stuff down on his notes. I'm like, what are you doing? He's just looking at D tackles. I was like, oh man, you're all in.
He's all in, baby. That's what we do, y'all. We're doing it all for you all. Okay. Listen, thank you so much. Y'all take care. God bless. Love each other like we're supposed to love each other. We will see y'all on Wednesday with a great guest. Y'all be good. Love you guys. Marcus, man. Love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
We'll see y'all.
Have a good night, everybody. See you Wednesday. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.